The townspeople whispered that a curse lived in those mountains, yet none whispered as much as they did the night Elias Ward was forced into a marriage he never wanted. Because the moment he stood beside the quiet, doe-eyed woman they called the Sterile One, something in the earth itself seemed to shift, as if destiny had been waiting for the two of them to finally touch hands. The hook. When the sheriff slammed the marriage ledger shut, the echo cracked through the church like a gunshot. Elias's jaw hardened. Miriam didn't flinch. And the townsfolk, those who had arranged the entire thing, leaned in with the hunger of people who craved spectacle. "Let's see how long the mountain man lasts," someone muttered. "Poor girl," another sighed. "She'll never give him a child." But as Elias escorted Miriam outside, a storm neither of them deserved followed them to the mountains, and that storm would change everything the town believed about love, strength, and miracles. The story. Elias Ward had lived most of his adult life in the high country. The mountains were harsh, unpredictable, and honest, more honest than people. He hunted, trapped, carved, and kept to himself after a lifetime of betrayal that had taught him one truth: solitude could never break you the way people could. This time, it was the town council that did the breaking. The valley was facing a crisis. A dispute with a neighboring settlement had grown heated, and the council thought the only way to unite the valley's strongest clans was an old, outdated practice: bond marriage, pairing two outsiders and declaring them a symbol of unity. Elias, the mountain man who wanted nothing to do with them. And Miriam Holloway, the woman everyone pitied. Miriam was 26 and widowed twice, though neither marriage had lasted more than a year. Neither husband had been cruel, but both had left quietly, unable to build a family with a woman the midwives declared barren as winter soil. She had learned to survive silence, survive stares, survive the gnawing belief that her body made her useless. She never expected they'd pair her with a man born of thunderstorms and iron. And Elias certainly never expected this. He said nothing during the ceremony. Miriam said even less. The climb to the cabin was steep and tense. Miriam's boots slipped often. Elias steadied her without a word. When they reached his cabin, sturdy timber, stone chimney, not a hint of softness, he opened the door and stepped aside. "You can take the bed," he said flatly. "I'll sleep by the fire." Miriam's heart tightened. "You don't have to do that." "I know," he said. "But I will." That was their first night, quiet, awkward, cold in all the places that mattered. The growing understanding. Winter wasn't forgiving. By the second week, they needed to work together. Elias chopped wood, Miriam stacked it. She cooked meals from whatever he brought home. She mended clothing. He repaired tools. Slowly, the silence between them shifted from uncomfortable to companionable. One evening, when the wind shrieked against the windows, Elias found her sitting by the hearth, hands trembling as she stitched a torn coat. He crouched beside her. "Your fingers are raw. They'll be fine. You should rest." She shook her head. "If I'm going to live in your world, I want to be useful." He studied her, really studied her, for the first time. "You already are." Miriam's breath caught. No one had said that to her in years. Not as a wife. Not as a woman. Not as a human being. That was the beginning. A bond formed in small moments. They built trust in the smallest ways. When Elias woke from nightmares and found Miriam draping a quilt over him. When Miriam burned her hand cooking and Elias carried her to the creek, his voice unexpectedly gentle. When they sat on the porch watching the sunrise, and she dared to ask, "Do you ever get lonely here?" He didn't answer immediately. But when he did, his voice was low. "Not anymore." She felt that reply in her bones. The townspeople below had expected disaster, two misfits forced together, doomed to irritate each other until someone fled. Instead, they had unintentionally created something stronger than any of them expected. The crisis that changed everything. One night, a violent blizzard roared down the mountainside. Elias went out to secure the animals, but he didn't return. Hours passed. The storm grew merciless. Miriam paced, heart pounding, until she could take no more. She bundled herself in furs and plunged into the storm. For the first time in her life, she didn't care about being weak. She cared about one thing: finding him. She followed his tracks until they disappeared under new snow. The wind screamed. Her fingers went numb. Then she spotted movement: Elias, half buried near a fallen tree, leg trapped by a heavy branch. She threw herself at the branch, digging through ice, pushing with shaking arms. He tried to stop her. "Miriam, go back, you'll freeze." "No," She gasped, teeth chattering. I'm not leaving you. With a surge of strength she didn't know she had, she freed him. They staggered toward the cabin, leaning on each other, falling, rising again. By the time they reached the door, Elias collapsed. Miriam dragged him inside and tended to him all night, warming him, bandaging his wounds, whispering desperate words she'd never meant to say aloud. Don't leave me. Please. Not now. Not when I finally have something worth holding onto. When morning came, Elias opened his eyes. You came for me, he croaked. She nodded, tears streaming. He reached for her hand. Miriam, you're the strongest woman I've ever known. She covered her face, sobbing with relief. He pulled her into a careful embrace. I don't want a symbol. I don't want a forced union. I want you. If you'll have me. Not because the town told us to, because we choose it. Her shoulders shook. Elias, I thought you'd want children someday. He rested his forehead against hers. I want a life with you. Whatever it looks like. That was the night they truly became husband and wife, by choice, not law. What shocked the town? Months passed. Spring melted the snow. And when Elias and Miriam finally walked down the mountain for the first time since the wedding, the townsfolk stared. Because Miriam no longer looked like the woman they pitied. She stood taller, stronger. Her eyes sparkled with a quiet confidence. And she wore a small, unmistakable swell beneath her dress. Whispers roared through the crowd. Impossible. She was barren. But, how? The midwife herself rushed forward, stunned. This can't be. But it could. Because Miriam, once crushed under the weight of others' judgments, had found something no one believed she deserved: safety, warmth, unwavering love. They said stress could stop a woman's body from blooming. And love, true love, could revive parts of a soul long thought dead. The council who had forced the union, hoping for unity but expecting nothing, could only watch as the miracle they never believed in unfolded in front of them. Elias kept Miriam close, one hand on her back, pride in every step. You shocked the whole valley, someone muttered. Miriam only smiled. They were wrong about both of us. The message: love isn't something that arrives on command. Nor is healing. Two broken people, thrown together against their will, might have shattered under the pressure. Instead, they mended each other. Elias found trust again. Miriam found worth again. And together they created a life no one else believed possible. In the end, the miracle wasn't the child. It was the love that made the impossible possible.